Welcome to Free Talk Friday. What a day.
It's been a marathon.
Yeah, it has. We recorded 2 episodes today. Earlier with a guest and then another one with another guest, and then now we're here.
Yeah, Free Talk Friday. I mean, we're just going to kind of just go blow through the headlines unless somebody wants to come on and say whatever they want to say, which we greatly welcome. But
Yeah, come on the show.
right before we started, it's been the House actually managed to pass that bill we were talking about. I think it was Tuesday night. So I'm trying to, like, just trying to do a quick crash course in what the third bill had, or what the difference between the first bill and the third bill was. So the first bill had some controversial provisions. It had congressional pay raises and pharmacy benefit manager regulations. The first bill had a lot of broader allocations for additional government spendings that technically didn't have anything to do with like a continuing resolution to keep the government funded. Then like Trump railroaded that. Trump and Musk, mostly Musk, railroaded that. And they came out with a second bill that was a Republican bill that extended the debt limit to like 2027, January 2027, which is absolutely ridiculous. And then finally, this third bill, it streamlined it, went from a 1,500-page bill to 118. It dropped provisions like we just mentioned. It narrowed the allocations to 100 billion for disaster relief and agricultural subsidies, and it didn't say anything about the debt ceiling. And then this one passed the House, let's see, by a wide margin, 366 to 34, just 6 hours before the deadline. So I mean, I've seen worse fights, but
Looks like you're gonna have to go back to work.
not till Monday. Not till Monday. But and then I've taken my own paid leave off for the holidays. But yeah, it's kind of weird to think that like in terms of pay and holiday, like keeping holiday leave, like it technically would have been kind of nice for me, depending on how long the government stayed shut. It actually would have kind of been nice for me in the end because I wouldn't have to use any holiday leave, and I would have just gotten paid for doing nothing, which is the opposite of fiscal conservatism or whatever. Yeah. Anyways, I'm not mad about it. I mean, but it's just like this is a preview of what we're going to see when it comes to Republican governing, because they can't keep a lid on their far right wing of the party, whereas Democrats, liberal Democrats, left of center Democrats, their leadership, they can keep a good lid on the progressive wing of the party. People forget House Republicans can't govern. More power to them, I guess, if they can figure it out, you know.
You know, I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of indifferent to it. Like I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
So
I
it's just kind of like,
I think even though this was like it technically, as far as these little funding fights go, this was actually quite short lived. It was intense, but it was short lived. But what was so noticeable about it is basically it started with Vivek Ramaswamy saying, "Look at this 1,500-page bill," and it's
mhm.
just like, well, I mean, bills are really long. Like that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad bill. I mean, I could take a bill, make it one page, and say Tommy gets $1 trillion to do whatever he wants to with. That's a very short bill. That's streamlined. That doesn't make it mean it's better. But Musk was like praising that it went from a bill that weighed pounds and now it weighs ounces, and it's just like that's not a good measure of whether the bill's good or not, you know.
Sure.
So, but what was particularly notable about this short-lived fight was Musk wielded a lot of firm power in these discussions. It technically originated with Vivek Ramaswamy, a post on X, but it just got blown up by Musk. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
And it was reported that like a bunch of Republican Congress people were like looking at their phones, refreshing Musk's X account to see if he was giving the green light or anything like that. And of course, like the passage of this bill played a big part in it too. Like he gave Speaker Johnson credit and said this was a good effort, and that was the green light for them, I guess. It's just so weird to see how I've never seen social media play such a huge role. But it is Musk. It is kind of a different thing. So
Ain't that crazy?
it is weird. I it's like the billionaires are so emboldened that they're just coming out of the shadows and they don't even care anymore. They don't care about hiding and working behind the scenes anymore. They're so emboldened that they would just come out and dictate policy via tweet. But yeah, anyways, the Senate, Democrat-controlled Senate, has signaled approval, as well as President Joe Biden. But I mean, it seems like a way cleaner bill. I mean, it's fine, but we're going to be having this fight again in March, and we're also going to be having a debt ceiling fight, which those far right Republicans in the Freedom Caucus, they want to have major cuts in government spending. So it doesn't necessarily mean they'll get behind the party and increase the debt ceiling. But Trump was like, let's get rid of the debt ceiling, which is that is the opposite what Republicans usually say. So maybe he's just going to wield a lot of hard power there and reverse that. So we'll see, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm just ready for it all. Like, it is what it is. It's up and it's stuck. Like, what are we gonna do?
What is okay? So I know that's a Cardi B song. What is "up and it's stuck"? What does that mean?
It means like, I don't know. Like, oh, it's up. Like,
It's up and it's up and it's up and it's stuffed. If it's stuffed, then it's I don't
stuck.
stuck. Okay, I thought it was stuffed. I thought she was.
It means like things are blowing up. Like things are just like, like
if it's up,
like it's hot. Like we're lit. Like here it is. Like, and like when you mean like it's up with somebody, I think that means like, like you're about to fight this, not fight this person, but like the conflict has just reached a fever pitch and it's stuck. You can't bring it back down. Like, it is what it is. We're in too deep. Like,
do you ever go to Rap Genius to try to decode certain lyrics for a rap song?
No, I don't need to do that.
As
it is what it
is. As a white man, the most important perspective. No, I have to go to Rap Genius to to figure out what the hell they're saying, man. Otherwise, I'm just gonna sit here and be like, turn that rap off. But anyways, I'm on Rap Genius, and it's like it's up, then it's stuck is a Southern slang and refers to an issue that won't cease until it's settled. And see, we put that into white vernacular.
Isn't that pretty much what I told you it meant? Like,
no, you're true. It's true, but like it's a little more like it speaks a little more to my white blandness, I guess. It is often used in Georgia, Louisiana, and Alabama. In an interview with YouTube, Cardi revealed that the inspiration behind the line came from her partner Offset, an Atlanta, Georgia native. I felt like this is more like an Atlanta thing. I don't know. It's a Georgia thing. Offset kept saying up and stuck. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if I can cuss on here, man. Saying up and stuck out of nowhere. You know what I thought she was saying? Don't judge me. I thought she was saying it's stuffed. And I thought she was referring to like, I thought she was referring to like work, like cosmetic work.
Tommy, like,
am I embarrassed?
Okay, so that was before you started hanging out with me more. So you're good now.
I mean, I got friends from the community, man, but we don't get into it like this, And it's just like it's hard for me to come along and be like, "Hey, man, can you explain Black culture to me?" That's difficult. It's hard, man. But anyways,
you just got to start hanging out with like I don't know, yeah. I mean, you're getting better, I would say. Like,
I mean, I went to a school for a little while, Dunbar Middle School in Lubbock, Texas, where white people were in the deep minority. Here's the messed up thing, though. If you got put into the gifted classes, you tested into them, all white people. Yeah, Dunbar Middle School, man. And I remember teachers like were exasperated because a lot of the people in regular courses were just, disruptive and stuff. And it wasn't just any one particular demographic, because if you couldn't test into the upper class or the advanced courses or whatever, you were unruly too. You know what I mean? And like fights were happening a lot in classes and stuff. And
Really quick, I would give out a shout out to Chandler. I don't think she's watching anymore. I want to know how like the wedding was that she went to.
yeah,
She commented something. She when I posted I was at the airport, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm at the airport. We're literally sitting at this one gate."
yeah,
A gate that was next to the one I was at. Didn't see her.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's Free Talk Friday. We're getting started a little later than normal. Usually we start at 4, but quite a marathon this week in recording episodes, and I think they're going to be great. Yeah, yeah. Today was fun.
Today was great.
Yeah. So
I kind of want to show that teaser of Precious.
no, I mean, I feel like during the shooting of that, like that was the most I ever learned about her, even though I've been acquainted with her for
Yeah.
2 years, And yeah, I mean that's what I look forward to in the future interviews, is like I get to actually take people who are public figures who are more of an abstract and turn them into actual humans and know something about them, instead of just reading a name in the newspaper or seeing a 2-minute clip,
Yeah, for sure. Let me see if I can get this.
Okay. But yeah, man, this is okay. Now I know what Cardi B. I mean, I like the song. You know,
It's up and it's stuck. It's up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck.
if it's stuck, then it's up.
No,
No, she says that. She switches it around.
no, she doesn't.
No. Oh man,
It's
these
if
are
it's
some-
up, then it's up, then it's up, then it's stuck.
Yeah, no, I thought she was like, then it. Oh, okay, up, then it's up. If it's up, then it's stuck. If it's up, then it's up. I swear to God, she said if it's stuck, then it's up somewhere. Oh no! Look at my fat head.
Look at you, Tammy.
I need to learn to keep my chin up, because I'm just like,
in the
Yeah.
face.
They were crazy.
And I try my best not to say, because I mean I love Nancy Pelosi. Everybody, I love Nancy.
She
I
wanted
do.
Gavin.
Yeah, me and
She
her
wanted
grand-
Gavin or did she want Whitmer?
She wanted Gavin.
I don't know who she wanted, but I know that me and her grandson work together in the
I don't know who
Department
she
of
wanted.
Education, and then me and her daughter are colleagues. I love Christine,
Mhm.
and I was just like, really, Nancy, you
Yeah,
want to do this?
I don't even know what a primary would have changed.
It wouldn't change anything. It would just been a whole complete crap show.
contested convention.
Yeah.
And then we would have lost 30 days. We only had 100.
You only had 100, and so what Vice President Harris did in the short amount of time that she did was historical.
Mm-hmm.
And just imagine if she would have had longer, if she would have had at least a year and a half to do what
Yeah,
she
I
did.
mean, raising $1 billion in 90 days.
Yeah.
Over $1 billion actually. So
Yeah.
like that was insane.
Insane.
And she was like erasing like Trump's lead in like all the swing
Yeah.
states and everything like that. There was so much traction. People were so fired up about her.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm
And
still confused by what happened. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Well,
what did I see on social media? Somebody was like, "Nah, I know the work of B613 when I see it." Have you have you seen Scandal?
I love Scandal.
Yeah.
That's what they call me. Some people call me the Olivia Pope of Omaha.
yeah.
I have no idea what she means.
So okay, so there's a thing in the show in Scandal called B613, and
Yeah.
that's like the deep state. That's the shadow. That's the people who are actually controlling the strings. But yeah, obviously we don't believe it's real. I mean, it was made up by Shonda Rhimes, but like,
I mean, the government would probably run a little smoother if there was like actual rhyme and reason, like a shadowy hand. It's really hilarious that people think there's like this deep state that controls the government, and it's like, don't you see how much the government screws up? It's like the CIA. Everybody thinks the CIA is like this. Oh, they got their hands everywhere. They're dictating foreign foreign countries and stuff. It's like, do you really read history and see how much they screw up and all of their plans go to crap? And it's just like, they're not smart. They mess everything up. You know, Iran Contra, like, yeah, it's just, you know, Afghanistan.
Do you know? Okay, and that's the other thing too. Like when we talk about like migrants and stuff, and how they say, I mean, this is kind of just piggybacking off of that in a way. How they talk about like migrants are like criminals and things like that, and all of this stuff. And I'm just like, then why are we singing all of these things? Like, if you're gonna say that, 4 million people who came across the border, why aren't there 4 million different cases open right now about that?
You mean like immigration cases?
No. What I mean is like when they say they're criminals and rapists and coming and doing all that stuff, then what? How come we're not hearing way more of these things happening then?
Hyperbole, yeah.
Huh?
It's hyperbole.
No, I know. But I mean, like, I wish somebody would ask that question.
Yeah, there's let me see if I can find it real quick, but like undocumented immigrants commit crimes at very low levels compared to natural born like ethnic Hispanic people. And then ethnic Hispanic people, natural born here in America, commit crimes lower than like other natural born. Let's see if I can find the thing. You just go ahead and keep talking. Let's see.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the thing. And the one girl who was, lost her life to somebody, so to an act of violence like that, like, horrible. But it's that was so heavily politicized to the point where it's like we're taking away from like the fact that this awful thing happened to this young woman. It's being weaponized as a political talking point like that.
Yeah. Lincoln Riley. Mm-hmm. No. Is that what's her name?
Blinken?
Lincoln. I thought it was Lincoln. Oh, this is in Texas, but let's see if I can share this. Let's see. So this is a chart that like compares. Yeah, so legal immigrants versus undocumented immigrants versus U.S. born citizens, violent crimes, property crimes. And this is mainly in Texas, but these trends, like, they pretty much are the general trends in America. And it's like, why an undocumented immigrant wants to come here and work a job that most Americans don't want to work to send money back to their families. Why would they want to come here and get a target on their backs by committing crimes? And it's just like, that doesn't make any sense. They're trying to stay off the grid. They're trying to stay out of trouble. And this overblown, they're sending rapists and criminals and all this other stuff, just definitely not true. So, but it's politically expedient. It's very difficult to talk about. And like I said, like, stories are better than talking about statistics and showing bar graphs and charts and that sort of thing. Yeah. So, just telling immigrant stories, especially like DACA recipients and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Total crime rates. Oh yeah, same chart I see there. I don't know. Anyways, what are you doing for your holidays, man?
I don't think so. And I don't think
not hanging out with family or anything like that.
Maybe hang out with family, yeah. But I don't know. What are you
hanging out with family? My mom's in town for like 10 days. She's getting a lot of time with our son, which is good. So my grandma, Hispanic, bilingual, definitely Hispanic woman and stuff. And that was like one of my most important relationships growing up. And like all of my cousins will readily admit that I was her favorite because I was such a grandma's boy. So it was really important relationship for me because it preserved like a Hispanic identity. Like, I need to work on my Spanish. It's embarrassing, but like, I got a little white boy. I don't want him to be 100%. I want him to keep some of that Hispanic point of view and stuff. because you know what I think.
Put him in
Yeah,
Spanish lessons.
I mean, I gotta
This is
lead
the
by
age.
example. You know, I mean, we have bilingual books, songbooks for him. You know, but you know, I gotta lead by example. I gotta go ahead and start brushing back up on my Spanish and stuff. It was the first language I ever learned. You know, and it is unfortunate. I just kind of like got told by teachers to stop speaking Spanish. I got really embarrassed about it. But no, I mean, I want my mom to have a really good relationship with my son, and she's actually decided to move up here, which is something we've been trying to get her to do for a few years now. So they went and looking at houses today and stuff. So I'm glad they finally got them.
Oh, is she up here? Or, like, is she here right now?
Yeah,
like,
she went and looked at houses today with my wife. So yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
is she staying with y'all?
us? You know what I consider kind of strange? You know, non-Hispanic white folks versus Hispanic folks. Like my in-laws are very adamant that they will move to an old folks home. I shouldn't say, some people might be a little offended by old folks home, but that's
Wait, say that again?
So my in-laws who are non-Hispanic white are very okay, and it's totally their plan to eventually move into like assisted living or retirement communities. They're like, it's just gonna happen. They're just gonna move, and that's not normal for Hispanic folks. Maybe it's becoming more and more normal, but you know, typically my elders would just move in with one of their kids.
Yeah,
help with like, you know, and it just feels like we had a better sense of like community. I don't know if that's the best word to say it, but it's just like we don't put our old folks, we don't stick them in a home. You know, they stay with us. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how it definitely is. Like, especially back in like South Sudan, like it's not uncommon for like a lot of people to. Gosh, this
Your things keeps on zooming in and out. Yeah, I like change mine to be like less dynamic or whatever. I don't know. Does it still adjust? No, I guess I turned adjusting off.
So, you know, your parents just or your family just comes in and stays in the house with you, and it's not an uncommon thing for like a whole bunch of people to live in one like big house. You know, like cousins, things like that. Like,
yeah, I grew up with my cousins, man. My grandma actually took one of my cousins in because he was in a troubled home situation. So, and he had fetal alcohol syndrome, so he really needed to be taken into a more stable home and get like extra care. So, yeah, I really appreciate my Hispanic family, and unfortunately, or kind of fortunately in some ways, like I don't talk to most of my cousins or most of my aunts and uncles. Like they were field hands growing up, and they had some really rough life and rough upbringing and stuff, and then you know, substance abuse and sporadic living situations. But you know, tough job, man. My mom used to work the fields.
I'm glad. It's awesome that she's gonna be able to be here, and you know, your son will get to really get to know her, and it won't be a thing to where it's like, oh, I only see my grandma like, you know, once a year, every now and then during the holidays. So that's awesome.
I told my mom, like, listen, I had an awful time coming down to visit. Like I got into a fight with that guy on the airplane, and well, it wasn't a physical one. And you know what? People gave me a round of applause after it. So, you know, I was in the right. You know what I'm saying? Do you want me to tell that story?
Yeah, go ahead. Why not?
So, I mean, you know, like getting, maybe it's not, but like trying to travel with a family and getting everything in a row, packing for an extra kid, a big suitcase and all this other stuff. It's just anxiety, man. But you know, we got through it. We got through security. We got all our stuff packed. Everything's going well. And, you know, it's starting to get that relief, you know. And then we get on the plane and I see this guy. I clocked him right away. And he was being obnoxious. And I leaned over to my wife and said, this guy's going to be a man child. I don't want to listen to this. So I put my closed ear headphones on and started just blasting like music. And like when it's like we were waiting at the gate for a while. It feels like a while. And a song would inevitably end and there'd be that little pause. And I'd hear him say something like, I'm a freak. Start again, and I wouldn't hear anything like that. but then like I noticed that everybody around us just kept on looking at them, darting eyes. Some people would just like reach out of the aisle, just like looking at him. And I was like, what the heck is going on? So I take my headphones off and I hope this is okay to say, I hear the woman he was with moaning, you know. Look at you closing this. And I'm like,
He said he was a freak.
no, dude, he's not a freak. And I told him, I'll tell you what I told him later. I'm looking around at people. They're making eyes with me. Nobody's saying anything. And I'm like, why is nobody saying anything? I feel like I'm losing my mind. I turned to my wife and I'm like, is that really happening? And she's like, yeah, that's been happening. And I just could not believe nobody was saying anything. So finally, I stopped looking around and I just start looking at them. And I look down and I am seeing private parts. Let me put it that way. And I was like, F this, take my seatbelt off. I go talk to the air hostess and I'm like, they are having relations back there. And I told her, I am getting off this plane. I am not staying on this plane. And like, I was kind of proud because it was quick thinking. Like, I thought it would have sounded really entitled if I told this lady, you need to kick them off the plane, you know, and maybe she would have just been like, sir, go sit back down or something. I said, I'm getting off this plane. My family and I were getting off this plane. I am not staying on this plane. And she's like, well, I guess we got to push back. So we pushed back to the gate because we were pushing back away from the gate when I went up there. And I was livid, right? So she talks to the pilot says, okay, we'll push back. And then she goes back to talk to this guy and he's starting to be like, no, we're not doing anything. Everything's fine. Blah, 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 blah.
Gaslight.
And I see that. And I am enraged. And I walk back there and I start chewing this guy out. And I'm saying, you're an effing animal, man. You're not a freak. You're a sex offender. And I said, you two are animals. How do you behaving like that in public? And I'm just getting into it. I am yelling. I am screaming. I'm going psycho. And, you know,
Right.
I'm going to just tell you, like, I'm not from like upper class community, man, upper middle class community. I'm from a trailer park. I'm also Hispanic and I also have autism. That is, it's quite the combination. Like, I have to mask a lot around what I call normal people. Like, my in-laws have never seen like the true me. And if they ever do, they're going to be like, what the hell is wrong with Tommy? So like, I am just laying into these people. I'm like saying, you're a sex offender. You two are animals. Like, how do you act like that? In
Wait,
public?
what was the lady doing?
She was just sitting there. Like, no, she was moaning and she was into it. And like, I kept hearing like,
While you were yelling at her?
No, they stopped. They stopped by this time because it wasn't, you know, they weren't being clever and stuff. And I said to my wife, get up, get your stuff. We're getting off of this plane. And then everybody around us was like, no, man, you don't leave. These are the ones who have to leave. So the lady, she said, listen, we're pushing back. No, she said, listen, go to the front. And, you know, this was an older Black woman. So she was like in the firm, like, I control this. This is my house. You go to the front. You guys are separated. I go to the front. I sit down. The front part of the plane doesn't understand what's going on. Right? They think I'm the belligerent one because I'm yelling and screaming. I'm sitting next to this guy. He's in like first class. He had a seat open next to him. He's in the front seat. And I tell the lady, like, I'm really sorry I yelled. I'm sorry I got loud with you and stuff. Cause she gave me that stern, like, hey, recognize who you're talking to. And like, I was like, oh, right. And I was apologizing. Yeah. You know, I was apologizing. I'm sorry. She's at the front of the plane again. And this guy next to me, this guy who paid for this really expensive ticket, he's like, you shouldn't just be apologizing to her. You should be apologizing to the 50 people on this plane that you've delayed and missing. And I turn right into his face and I'm like, those people were having sex in front of my child. What would you do? And then he shut up and he went back to his Sudoku. And I'm like, yeah, sure. He didn't say anything to me anymore. So to get him off the plane, I start walking back and I'm just like effing animals. And by the way, like the whole plane started realizing I wasn't the instigator. I was about to say I wasn't the belligerent one. I was belligerent. And I get a round of applause. And I wanted to sit down and be like, what the hell was wrong with all you people just letting that happen? There's guys who over 6 foot kids.
All right. They had kids with them?
Yeah. Those, and it's just like, why were
you didn't tell me that?
yo, no, there were kids on the plane. And people were like saying, can we not cuss? Can we? Because I'm just going psycho. I'm cussing at these people. I'm calling them effing animals and all this stuff.
No,
like that.
I'm talking about the guy and his wife. The freak.
No, they didn't have kids. I'm saying
Oh.
everybody around them had their families with them. And they weren't saying anything.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about plane etiquette, right?
Go ahead.
I have literally been on the first seat on a plane, literally like row 1A. And I have also been in all the other seats, and I've also been on the very, very, very last seat of a plane. I'm talking about like this is the end and this is like the lavatory.
Yeah.
When the plane pulls up to the gates, not everybody needs to stand up. You don't need to stand up. You're sitting all the way in the back. Why are you standing up? I can understand maybe if you want to stretch your legs, but if we're on a flight, an hour-long flight from Chicago to Omaha or Omaha to Denver or whatever it is, like if we were like, you know, several hours in the air, I can understand. But if it's an hour stretch, why are you standing up?
Yeah.
They stand up, get their stuff, and then they stand there with their butt like in the aisle, like ready to go.
They're trying to beat the rush, man. It's like you ain't beating nothing.
Then you should have paid for a ticket closer to the thing. I mean, that's the thing too. It's just like not everybody needs to stand up. And the other thing too, it's that like when they start serving drinks and things like that, don't get up. Don't do that because it's like I was on a flight to Africa once. This happened both times I went to Africa. And it's just like they start serving drinks and food, and that's when everybody needs to get up and go to the bathroom. And so they have to like keep moving the cart back and forth. And it's just like, bro, like,
yeah,
you know, and then when they also say like, hey, like, please fasten your seatbelt, we begin our final descent. And this happened more on the other trips to Africa. People would get up and start rearranging things and getting their stuff down and like open things. And I'm just like, we're on the final descent. Like, what are you doing? Oh, and the other thing too is if you are, if you have to change like terminals or whatever it is, like in bigger airports like O'Hare or Denver, like bigger airports where you have to like hop on a train in the airport and like go to the other side, don't be that person to where people are trying to fit in and you're just sitting there. Move out the way. Make room.
Move. Get out the way.
Oh my gosh.
Get out the way.
I almost gave it to one guy in Denver the other day. This guy, he's like, yeah, we're just going to push people out of our way. Damn right we are, because my flight is boarding right now. And this other flight was delayed. I am not going to miss a flight just to be polite and give you space. No, move. And if you're not going to move, I'm going to push you.
You know the good thing about this though, we were only like 5 minutes late behind schedule when we got there. We had like a crosswind or something. So that guy in the front doing his Sudoku, shut up about being late. Nobody missed their connections.
Yeah, you want to know another thing? I think the way they plan like flight times, I don't think it's really about like how long like the flight is. Like they buffer time. So it's like, oh, our arrival time is supposed to be this. They like give buffer.
Oh, we're early. Look at that. It's like
we made up some time in the air.
You know what sucks is like Pete Buttigieg has been a phenomenal transportation secretary, and they really went hard for consumer rights. And they advertised a lot about how if the airline bumps you or something like that, this is what they have to do. They have to reimburse you with cash and all this other stuff. And whoever the next transportation secretary is, they're going to roll all that back. They're going to be super, super biased towards businesses and stuff. So sucks. We're losing that. Some people want Pete Buttigieg to run for Michigan governor because that's where his family lives now.
What do you think? Like that guy's still pretty young. Like he's like what, in his 40s?
You know, like Pete Buttigieg, the candidate, I just despised. But then Pete Buttigieg, the transportation secretary, he's always going on Fox News and just like basically just schooling them on, like debating them and schooling them. I like non-candidate Pete Buttigieg. But when he got into candidate mode, it was like this guy, you know? I'm sorry, what was the question?
I wonder what he's going to do afterward, because he's like,
he's got a bright future.
He's 42.
He's got a bright future. What was crazy during the election, he basically ignored the fact that he was a gay man. Like all the candidates would like have their spouses on stage with them and stuff. And like, he wouldn't have Chasten on, right? And they did a documentary about him. And when the documentary came out, like you saw Chasten was like, hey, look, they have all the spouses on stage. And Pete Buttigieg was like, yeah. And it's like, dude, you have to like, I mean, but I get it, you know. I saw this video of an Iowa voter who was at the polls and she wanted to change her vote because she learned at the time, like right then and there, that he was gay. And she was like, I want to change my vote. I don't want to vote for him. So like it's not unwarranted. I just thought it was I thought it was a little cold because Chasten seems like a really, really nice person, but the way it is. But he's got a bright future. He knows he's smart enough to go on Fox News all the time and basically school them. And he's like, you got to take the message to where your opposition is. You can't just be in a liberal bubble. And that's something that a lot of liberals need to embrace. It's like you can't just sit on the internet in a liberal bubble. And that's what's happening with these Gaza leftists. They're just, I mean, like they post these videos and they're just giving everybody likes and shares. And it's like, you are convincing nobody. You're just getting clout, likes and shares on Instagram, and nobody who matters in like moving the needle on this issue is actually enjoying what you're doing. You know, you got to have the moderates.
Yeah, I don't know. We're still trying to get somebody to come on and talk about that. And well, we got someone. And so
Yeah, it'll be an interesting discussion for sure. And honestly, I can't talk a big talk here when nobody's, and I'm planning on saying the exact same thing I said before. And it's just like, you are killing us. Defund the police killed us, especially for what it meant. It didn't mean abolish the police. It just meant changing, like redirecting some of police budgets to like community oriented action. And it's like, well, that makes sense, but defund the police is a bad slogan for what that means.
a lot of it too is like, who comes up with like the names of these things? Because people would just make like the most messed up names, and it's just like,
I envy how Republicans are way better at media and marketing and stuff. And like they took something like the word critical race theory is not a scary thing. And they were like, the word critical race theory sounds ominous by itself. And they turned it into this thing where like, oh, they're teaching kids in public school, they're indoctrinating them. And it's like, no, this is an advanced course in college. Kids are not learning this. And it's just talking about like how race has played a part in American culture. It's like, come on, you can't deny that race has played a part in American culture. You know, Jim Crow, slavery. Like, why is this hard to talk about? But you know, there are people in Texas, like history teachers, who can't talk about slavery anymore.
seriously?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy that the South got to maintain their Confederate identity, their rebel cause, because like I saw somebody who was a German educator who explained, okay, this is what it would have been like if they had educated Confederate states the same way they educated Germans after World War II. And they were like, basically, you'd get a lot of facts, a lot of evidence that basically said that this culture was basically a cancer. And it went from, listen, the Civil War was about slavery. You know, but there's a lot of people down there that just believe it was about states' rights. It was about a cultural thing. They call it the War of Northern Aggression. It's crazy. Like, I didn't know Confederacy was a bad thing. I didn't know the Confederate flag was a bad thing. It was normal for me to see a Confederate flag with an American flag side by side. But I mean, it's the equivalent of seeing a German flag today flying with a Nazi flag. You know?
Yeah.
They shouldn't have maintained that culture. That culture should not have been retained. But Rutherford B. Hayes made a deal with Southern Democrats. He lost the popular vote, but he won the electoral vote because he made a deal with Southern Democrats, basically pulling the U.S. Army out of the South. And the U.S. Army was making sure they were staying in line as far as treating black folks. A lot of black folks got elected to Congress in the South and their state legislatures in the beginning because the government was keeping them in line. But that went away because Rutherford B. Hayes wanted to be president. I think that was the guy. And I forget, okay, who's the guy he was the first guy to lose the Electoral College but win the popular vote. I forget his name. But I mean, yeah, like the Southern cause, this idea of the War of Northern Aggression should have never been maintained. And I mean, honestly, I had history teachers in class who had the Confederate flag in class, in history class. And now they can't talk about slavery. And it's like, oh, it was states' rights. And it's like, yeah, but states' rights to do what? And that's when they start just losing it. And it's like, yeah, states' rights have. And it's like, have you ever heard of the Cornerstone speech where the vice president of the Confederacy was like saying, slavery, we're fighting this war over our right to have slaves.
Man.
Look at the historical record, people. It's crazy. I don't know. Like, is there anything in history that stands out to you that is just like mind-boggling? Oh, by the way, people, this is Free Talk Friday. If you want to come on and talk about anything you want to talk about, just give us a shout in the chat and we'll give you a link.
Yeah. What was the question? Things in history that stand out to me?
Yeah, that just boggle your mind.
They were building Victorian style homes in Seward or Crete when Standing Bear was arguing that he was a person. That's the thing. Like when you start like paralleling like timelines and stuff, be like, this happened the same year this happened. Like those big, beautiful Victorian style homes, Yeah,
and they're still around today. It's like you feel like it's the distant past, but it's not.
Yeah, when those homes were being built, Standing Bear was arguing that he was a person.
Yeah, I mean that reminds me of the Dred Scott decision, one of the darkest cases in American Supreme Court history.
What was it?
Dred Scott. So Dred Scott, he was so back then they had free soil states, which were the northern states. So if an enslaved person went into a freed soiled state, they became instantly free, right? And they became, I don't know if they became citizens right away, but they had the right to say, I'm not property anymore. I am free. And so Dred Scott, like his slave owner, like took him into a free soil state, and then he sued the government. He sued this person's with the argument that he was no longer a slave. Let's see. And so here's what the judgment was. It reversed the lower court decision that said, yes, he is a free person. And the opinion was persons of African descent cannot be and were never intended to be citizens in the U.S. Constitutions. They have no standing. Property clause applicable only to lands possessed at the time of Constitution's ratification. As such, Congress cannot ban slavery in territories, and basically said Dred Scott is property, not a human being. One of the darkest decisions in American history. And, you have Plessy v. Ferguson that said segregation is equal but separate is totally a thing. And it's like equal but separate was clearly not a thing.
Right.
Black folks had subpar systems. They had subpar like infrastructure, It's just crazy. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, wasn't it like Greenwich Village, which was Central Park? So there was like a huge like pop, like up and coming, very booming like African American community there that was like bulldozed and turned into Central Park.
That sounds right. I don't know. I don't know too much about.
There's just a lot, like the burning of Black Wall Street and like all of these things,
Tulsa massacre.
Yeah, anytime, like the Black community would make progress and like kind of pull themselves up by their bootstraps, as they say. All their progress was erased.
There was a quote by, I think it was the Chief Justice during the Dred Scott decision, and he said they had for more than a century before been regarded as being an inferior race, Black folks, slaves, and so far inferior that they had no rights in which the white man was bound to respect.
Say that again.
It's just that's okay. So they had for more than a century before been regarded as beings of an inferior order, and so far inferior that they had no rights which the white man was bound to respect.
Dang.
That's the line in there that is like constitutional historians are like, that's one of the darkest lines in a Supreme Court decision in history. And that's considered, like, if you talk to the justice today, most of them tell you that's like the worst decision the Supreme Court ever made, up there with Korematsu versus the United States. And
What was
Ferguson.
was that a unanimous vote in the Supreme Court?
Let's see. Only so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there were 8 justices who ruled on this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 6 joined and said, "This is Dred Scott's not a human being with rights." So only 2 people dissented. And you know what? I've never read the dissent. I should do that sometime. But
You said only only 2 people dissented,
yeah, only 2 people.
and
McLean
sorry,
and Curtis.
and there were how
6
many?
6-2 decision. So, oh no, 7-2 decision. Sorry, that I forgot to count Taney. Taney's the one who wrote that line, and he's one of the most infamous chief justices of all time. Was he chief justice? Yeah.
All right, what are you doing on Sunday?
I don't know. Why?
The other guest potentially recording.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I might be able to find a few hours to come in. But yeah, I mean, we're doing work on these banked shows, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm excited for him.
Yeah, we
yeah.
got Tommy's friend Jesse on today, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Great conversation. Yeah, we have some pretty cool people that are down to come on that we're going to be chatting with.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's just going to be just a nice flow after that. They're going to be like, "Oh, this senator went on and we talked about their life. Well, why don't I go on, you know?"
Mhm.
But, you know, some of those are in the works and not finalized yet, so we can't really name drop.
What'd you think of my setup today?
Oh, dude, it's so, man, I wish I had the focus and drive to be able to like do that. No, it's true, man. It's just like there are times when I get like hyper focused on something and then just randomly lose interest and move on to the other half finished project or something. Fun.
Yeah, I got the place set up. I got snacks. I haven't got an ice bucket with tongs.
Yeah, and you look like you were drinking scotch in the corner or something like that.
Did it? Oh, you know what I was drinking?
Water? Oh, I see. Coconut? Yeah.
Pineapple coconut.
Oh, I should try that
I
sometime.
fell out of a coconut tree.
Man, we are going to only be a few months in and it's going to be like, man, you could have had a bad, you know?
You could have had a bad, not committal. Dude, oh gosh. That coconut tree bean was so good.
I don't even know what it means. What does that mean?
It just means like, do you think you just came out of nowhere? Like, do you just think you just fell out from the sky, basically? I have to play it. Hold on. Gosh.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
You think you just hold on. You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
Oh man, I am tired. I am wiped, man.
Yeah, that was a lot of running around.
Yeah, a lot of using the old brain. Too much. Oh, here
Gosh,
we go.
I'm gonna miss things like this.
Oh, the tan suit controversy.
Oh yeah, she was wearing a tan suit.
She was doing it to troll people, and I thought that was funny.
Well, this isn't even a tan suit. This is more mauve.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
So this is okay. Is this a?
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what's here for you.
I've never seen this.
Oh,
Coconut tree?
Man, I hope she moves on to greener pastures.
they break it down here.
Coconut tree? You think you just fell out of a coconut tree?
You know,
You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
in the club, man.
Yo, it's so funny, like how these EDM like jockeys have like made like funny remixes.
Coconut tree?
There was one of the
Uh-oh. Sorry, I lost some bandwidth there.
there was one of the Italian prime minister. What's her name?
I know. Yeah, I know her. but-
Giorgia Meloni.
There you go.
And it was
Wait.
hilarious. There's a speech she did that he's EDM like DJs like remixed and went like absolutely viral.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think I've heard of that one. I think I heard that one before. She actually turned out to be, if I remember correctly, turned out to be a staunch opponent of Russia or critic of Russia. So credit where it's due, I guess. Even though she was like considered a far right political figure, but yeah.
yeah, I found it.
Oh no, let's not do the whole clip because we got to be going soon. You know.
Yeah, we don't have to watch the whole thing, but
Giorgia, sono una donna, sono una madre, sono cristiana. Giorgia, sono una donna, sono una madre, sono cristiana. Io sono Giorgia, sono una donna, sono una madre.
I bet this helped her out.
Genitore
Though.
1, genitore 2, genitore 1, genitore 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. Sono
oh man,
that's
I love
hilarious.
politics. I love when people do this kind of stuff. This is like so wild that this is what the internet has come to, man. I love America.
I mean, we're just trying to cope. We're just trying to get through it, man.
Georgia.
to me-
Da-da-da-da-da.
Man, maybe I should just start clubbing and just like popping ecstasy or something. No, I have a child. I can't do that. my days of wilding out are over. I'm glad I did it at the it's a mixed thing. No, politics, love-hate relationship. You know,
Mhm.
I love reading about it. It's not useful information, and I retain nearly all of it. And like I'm supposed to know useful information for like my job and life, and none of that sticks in my head. I don't read any emails at work. I don't want to be that way, but it's just like you get like 30, 40 emails a day, and like at least half of them are just not necessary. It's like I'm not looking at emails. You wanna tell me something? I am me. You
Yeah.
know?
I feel it. But yeah, you ready to call it?
Yeah, I'm glad we kind of kept this going, even though it was kind of later in the day.
Yeah.
But you got some cool things coming up, you know?
Yeah, I got to do all this editing.
Yeah. At least you found that shortcut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely helped.
Yeah.
But all right, if you guys have tuned in, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to follow the YouTube page, subscribe to that, and turn on notifications because that's where the Precious McKesson episode is going to drop. Don't want to miss it. It's going to be awesome. All right, y'all. We will see you in the next one.
Yeah, join us next week. Come on, say what you're thinking.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, I got to find the. Okay, here it is. All right, guys. Peace.